And I was thinking the other day, and I woke up, and when I was just a little boy, I was about 12 years old. And we was over in a little town called Vandalia, Illinois. And Brother Branham was having a tent meeting. And we stayed in a little cheap hotel. And I say that to go with my testimony here. And I know you've probably heard me give this testimony, but maybe just one more time I want to share it with you because it's one of the greatest experiences of my life. And in this room, it didn't even have a bathroom. The bathroom was down the hall, and we just had a wash basin right where the camera is here. And it was just a little wash basin and a little pitcher, and that's where we'd wash our hands and things. When we had to take a shower, take a bath, we'd go down at the end of the hall. And I used to sell, in the meetings, I had a little apron, and I'd go down and I'd sell the little books. There was 3 books Brother Branham had. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. I was not disobedient to the heavenly vision. Divine healing in the campaigns. And I thought I was something. Get out there and sell those books. And Daddy would always, and I'd see the Lord move in the meetings. And as a kid, he'd tell us about these things and how the angel would meet him. And I remember one night in this hotel room, we were sitting there, and my dad's brother was working with us at that time. He was driving a truck, and his name was Donnie. And he was the youngest of the brothers. And he and I and Dad were sleeping in the same room. And I don't remember, I know Dad says on tape that he took a pillow and threw it over and woke me up. All I remember, I woke up, was a pillow across my face. And he had this pillow across my face, and he says, "Paul?" I said, "Yes, sir." It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And he says, "You know the angel that Daddy talks about?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said he visited me tonight and was telling me some things and about the meetings and how to conduct the meetings and what was going to happen. And I said, "Yes, sir." And he still had the pillow across my face. And he says, and I asked him, "Could I wake you up? And could I wake up my brother Donnie?" And he said, the angel said, "You can wake up Billy." And he says, "Can he see you?" And the angel said, "Yes." He said, excuse me. He says, when Dad takes his pillow from your face, he says, "You know where the wash basin is over there?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "He'll be standing there, and you can see him." And I said, "Okay." Remember, I was just 12 years old. And he took the pillow from my face, and I thought it'd be an angel with wings flying around, but it wasn't like that. There stood a man in that room dressed in pure white, and he had his arms folded like this, hair down to his shoulders. He just stood there. One thing it was so outstanding to me, he never spoke a word, but he'd look around the room, but his eyes was totally focused on my dad. Every move was watching my dad. And I can see him yet now, them eyes just going around the room. He'd look at me, and he'd look over at my uncle, and he'd look back around like that. He'd move his head a little bit, but his eyes never left Daddy's eyes. And I grabbed Daddy because I didn't know. It was a man standing in the room over by the window. And I'll never forget, Daddy told me, he said, "Don't be scared, son." He said, "He's sent from the presence of Almighty God. And he says, he won't harm you. He says, he'll be a blessing." Now watching, he just held real close, and Daddy held me. And he went from that being of a man, just as Brother Branham describes him, into, I'm not going to say a pillar of fire. It was like a mist, a light, a vapor. He just kind of vanished. And he went out the window, right out the room like that. And when he left, a rainbow come right in the same window and hung in that room for hours. At midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, dark room, but he stood there, and that rainbow stayed in the room. I felt a presence. And I asked my dad later, I said, "Why did that happen?" And he said, "Because I wanted you to see him." He said, "God called you to work with me, Billy, and I wanted you to see him and to know what Daddy was telling you was the truth." Not that I doubt it, but it was just such an experience, such a wonderful experience.